What a start to the 1992 Interdominion Pacing Championship. Franco Ice out on the eve of the race, the second favourite. Shocking luck for his connections and for the series. And then last night, the favourite, Christopher Vance, the mighty New Zealander, finishing last in his heat. And who knows, he might miss out now on the final. He's got the job in front of him. Our special guest today is Vic Frost, the man behind Westburn Grant, who's been 3 times the Grand Circuit champion, twice the Miracle Mile champion, and maybe now the winner of the Interdominion. Who knows? He ran a great race last year. And Neale Donnelley, who's the media representative from the Harness Racing Board and one of the top journalists in Australia. Welcome, Vic and Neale, once again.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well, what a start, Neale, to the Interdominion. We were talking last week that we thought Christopher Vance, Franco Ice and Westburn Grant were the 3 big chances. Really, Vic's horse is the only one that's standing tall at the moment.
Well, yeah. Interdominion's traditionally are full of drama. The first night, all sorts of things always seem to happen, and last night it was just that way. As you mentioned, Franco Ice out yesterday morning, failed the vet test, didn't run. And then the 4-year-old Impressionist, who we mentioned last week, was a sensational run, winning the first heat. Most impressive, is now favourite to win the final. An hour later, Christopher Vance, 2's on, leads and runs last. OK, we've mentioned Impressionist, this 4-year-old, Ted Demler, training driving. Let's go to the first of the heats and see this most impressive performance by a horse aptly named.
Metre Boy held together by 2.5 metres to Impressionist, shaken up, and Thomas Magnum out 3 wide. No run for Tip Top Prince. Out 3 wide, Mark Hanover. He's about to pull out 4 wide. Then in Such of the Centre, followed by Starship and Defoe. Then Franco Tiger, Meadow Mirage, and last is Appanon Lad. Around the turn of the 250, All Metre Boy held together still 1.5 metres to on the outside. Impressionist now bridging the gap. Pulling out now, Mark Hanover running home. Impressionist on the outside of the 120. He raced to the lead. All Metre Boy cannot go on. Mark Hanover, Thomas Magnum in Such a boxing on for the minors, but this is a big win. Most impressive by Impressionist. He wins 6 metres to All Metre Boy. Tight third, Mark Hanover.
Well, Vic, you've seen a fair bit of Impressionist. He is a 4-year-old. 4-year-olds can win the Interdominion. I tend to think they're still a little immature. How do you fancy his chances?
Oh, yeah, I think Impressionist ran a tremendous race last night. Like, you know, he'd done a lot of work to sort of work around the field, and he really finished strong in the straight, which I thought was a very, very good run. And if he gets a little bit of luck in the final, he'd have to be real hard to beat.
Neale, obviously you liked his run last night. What about Mark Hanover, the defending champion? It looked a pretty good performance. It
was a fair run, to be honest. You notice we saw in the heat there, Thomas Magnum, the Tasmanian horse, he was 3 wide and Mark Hanover tracked him home. But he'd been 3 wide for more than a lap before the turn, and Mark Hanover couldn't run him down to the straight. Honest run, best I could say for him. OK, so you're still not really fancying him, are you? Because I've never liked Mark Hanover, no. No, not even when he won the Interdominion last year? I hated him last year when I was on the other 2. You might be holding a grudge here, Neale. Well, the second heat was an upset, wasn't it? Oh, very much so. It looked the weakest heat, with Christopher Vance appearing to just be too strong. And as we'll see on the tape, he leads and runs blistering sectional times. Ran his first mile in about 56.5. Do you think he was poorly driven on reflection? No, well, Tony Hurley, he said later, his driver, and Tony's a champion driver, he said that it was probably his own fault, and that he was told there was no speed inside him, and he decided to come out from a wide draw. And he said he fired the horse up early and he got to pulling, which he said he doesn't do very often, and he couldn't hold him. He said he just went too hard. What do you think of Christopher Vance? You've seen a lot of him, Vic, in the past, with Westburn Grant taking him on in those Miracle Mile. Yes, he's a very, very smart horse, and he's won a lot of races since then, like, you know, some major races. And I thought he was probably, before the series started, I thought he was probably the horse to beat. I thought he was a true favourite for the race. But, you know, although he didn't sort of go so good last night, he's still a very good horse, and I think Tony will be able to sort of settle him down a little bit in the next couple of heats, and I think he'll grab some valuable points. Can he still make the final, Neale? Yes, he can. The structure this year on the points system is that if you win a heat, you get 4 bonus points, and if you run second, you get 2 bonus points. So first and second is very important. You can jump ladders if you win a heat. I think if he wins a heat and runs a placing the last night, he'll make the final, and he has drawn to win on Wednesday night. OK, let's go to the second heat. Big upset here, the long odds-on favourite finishing last, Christopher Vance.
Generator in the centre, he's not going well, no run for Barrel Boy, then Lord Muckley, Sermo Way, Thorate, Zululu, it's Motor Power, Imperial Adamant, 6 metres away, Rhetoric, 400 metres out before the turn, and Zakara on the outside, Drew 2, 3 metres in front, Christopher Vance, he's under tremendous pressure, Lord Muckley, he's looking a chance, he pulls to the outside now, 3 wide, Christopher Vance looked gone, then Barrel Boy needing a run, followed by Generator, and Zululu is seeing daylight making ground at the 180, Zakara in front by 2 metres to Lord Muckley, Zululu is making ground down the outside, Christopher Vance is gone at the 100, Zakara in front, picking it up on the outside is Zululu with Lord Muckley in the centre, Lord Muckley put its nose in front, and Lord Muckley has won in a photo from either Zululu and Zakara.
Well, easily his most impressive performance, Lord Muckley, but Neale, you're making the point there that those horses were getting very tired up the straight and you think the form mightn't be too good.
I just don't know what to make of the form, Bruce, yeah, because there were so many horses finished in a bunch, and it's the same on a thoroughbred racetrack. If they all finish together, you sometimes be worried about the form. I just don't know about it.
Vic, what do you think? Franco Ice scratched, Christopher Vance running last. I mean, it must help Westburn Grant's chances. Was that your thoughts after the first 2 heats?
Well, no, I didn't sort of look at it like that because I know Christopher Vance is a very good horse, and he didn't go so good last night, but there were excuses for him. He got fired up, and then Tony couldn't sort of settle the horse in the race, but they did go very, very fast early. And I think a horse that comes out of a wide gate like he did, and making the pace that fierce early, you know, like all horses will knock up. They'll all get tired.
OK, well, Vic was driving the Great Westburn Grant in the 3rd heat. This horse has been the champion in Australia for a number of years. He's won $1.7 million and they're hoping to win his first Interdominion in 1992. Let's go to the race. We pick it up in the concluding stages. Westburn Grant outside the leader, who Neale reckons is the most improved horse in the world.
A neck away on the outside, Blossom Lady, followed by On Parade, then Amendment. Second last is Sogo and 4 metres to Imprimatur. Down the back, inside the 500 they race, Level Advice. He leads Westburn Grant by a metre. He's got a kick up his sleeve though. Blossom Lady pulls out now 3 wide around Master Musician. The leader's back is Smooth Genghis. On Parade under the whip now pulls to the outside. Amendment's under pressure. Then Witch Melody. Sogo still second last, and last is Imprimatur. 3rd quarter, 29.4 around the turn, 220 metres out. Level Advice shaken up a metre in front. Westburn Grant on the outsiders trying to pick him up, followed by Smooth Genghis, and getting out as Master Musician. At the 100 they Level Advice. Oh, by golly, he's much improved. He's pulling out plenty. He's pulling out enough, and he gets there. Level Advice wins a metre and a half to Westburn Grant. 3rd, Smooth Genghis.
Well, why is he the most improved horse in the world? He's won a string of races.
Well, if you'd said 6 months ago that Level Advice would be winning against handy horses at Moonee Valley, he would have been laughed at. And here he is winning a heat of the Interdominion, beating Westburn Grant, and is 12-1 to win the final. He is the most improved horse in the world. OK, I won't argue with that. Vic, what about Westburn Grant? What did you think of the run?
I thought it was a real good run. I was very happy with his race. You know, he'll probably get the benefit of that run now, like for the next couple of heats, and which should sort of top him off, like, you know, nicely. So, yeah, I was real pleased with the run, like, you know.
The query on him, to be fair, is that, OK, he's probably the most brilliant horse we've had for many, many years, but will he stand up to 4 tough races in 2 weeks?
I think he will. I think he will, Bruce. Yeah, he's virtually a sort of tough type of horse. He's a good doer, like, you know, he's a relaxed type, good eater. And we train him on the beach as well, so, you know...
Sounds like he's got a good life, doesn't he? He's relaxed, he eats well, and he goes to the beach.
Yeah.
I know a couple of blokes like that.
Yeah, so do I, actually.
Well, let's see what the bookmakers think, because that's the market, and that's all important. What a difference a week makes. I mean, you wouldn't read about this, Neale, would you?
Well, Impressionist, he was 8-1 last Sunday morning, Bruce, and after his win last night, well, he's into favourite, as we can see. Westburn Grant has held his place. Where's
Christopher Vance? Should he be on the board?
He should be in there, actually. He should be there about 11-2.
OK, so we can put him in at 11-2 in between Westburn Grant and Master Musician.
Yeah, and the Level Advice, of course, he was 100-1 a week ago.
All right, and 4 of the favourites running against each other on Wednesday night. So the heats continue Wednesday night, next Saturday night. And Neale, you'll be back next Sunday. And yes. Maybe we'll know then just who might win the final, because it'll only be 6 days away.
Well, we'll have the final field, and we'll have a market. We won't have the barrier draw. It's not done till the following Wednesday, but we'll have a good idea. OK. Vic, good luck with Westburn Grant. It'll be terrific to see him when he's won everything else in harness racing, and he thoroughly deserves it.
Thanks very much, Bruce.
Vic Frost, the man behind the Great Westburn Grant. We take a break, and coming up after the break, John Seaman.